Okay, this is kind of a random video, and I'm not doing it with tradition with my good old face. I have it pointed to the computer. If it falls, FML. If it doesn't, awesomeness. A whole lot of people have talked about, the invasion angle and how it failed, and they've done more of like a story about it. They never get a detailed list out there of some of the things that sucked about it, what was, top to bottom, what runned it. And I decided to do that here tonight. And yeah, just go ahead and enjoy. If you want to go ahead and just see the list and get out, if you want to hear my descriptions and what I mean, cool. If not, whatever. Number 15, McMahon Everywhere. Vince, of course, on the WWF. Shane on WCW. Stephanie on ECW. Linda kind of appeared once in a while just to fuck shit up. It was stupid, and it was obvious overhaul. I understand why Shane owned WCW, and honestly, I've always liked Shane as a character. That's why when he decided to leave about, 2009 or whatever, that's why I was really sad, because I knew we weren't going to get not even that one cool street fight, or anything like that anymore. It was pretty much over for Shane McMahon. That really sucks. Number 14. I asked myself when I look back, was there a dream matchup achieved in the invasion angle? And I think the obvious answer is no. DDP never got to face like a Stone Cold one-on-one or a Rock one-on-one in a big match. I mean, you had Booker versus The Rock, but come on, was that really a huge dream matchup that you just had to die to see? Was it, honestly? Other than that, not a whole lot of dream match. I guess Kidman versus X-Pac. I don't know. There was no dream matches up. Yeah, dream matchups achieved, and that might not be just the fault of how it took place necessarily, other than one of the bottom numbers, which I'll list near the end of the video actually. Number 13. This was all about Vince's ego. He brought back WCW and ECW just to kick their ass. Make no mistake about it. He wanted easy ratings, easy money, a little more talent down the road, and that's about it. He had no intention of making fans, remember the legacy of WCW or have respect for that company. He just wanted to bury it completely and benefit off what was left of it in memory, and that's kind of sad. Number 12, there was no Nitro, there was no Thunder, there was no Clash of Champions, there was no Starrcade, there was no Halloween Havoc, nothing. There was no actual WCW trademark shows brought back as a one-time deal. You know how ECW had its one-night stand? There was no one-time deal for WCW. It was they showed up on Raw, they showed up on SmackDown, etc. They showed up at Survivor Series and SummerSlam and shit like that. I mean, sure, you had the Invasion pay-per-view, but does that count as an actual WCW pay-per-view? The answer is no. 11, Star Power. They had guys like DDP, Booker T, RVD, Dreamer, Sandman. I think they had for a little tiny bit. Just people like that. And they didn't utilize them to the max. They were obviously lacking guys like Sting, Luger, Hogan, all the NWO, Savage. They're obviously lacking a lot of people. And instead of emphasizing the fact and making DDP and Booker T and people like that look like a big freaking deal, they just made them look like glorified mid-carders from the quote-unquote second-hand company. That's all they did. They didn't emphasize the fact these guys were, at the top of the game in WCW. They just made them those guys, mid-carders. And DDP winning the European title and Booker T not getting a world title until 2006. Number 10 world title placement. At SummerSlam 2001, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin winning the freaking WWF title. Not winning, but retaining it. And then you had The Rock win the WCW title. What the hell was up with that? I've heard it's stupid, but you had the two guys of the Attitude Era, holding the two main world titles. That's stupid, and once again, it's Vince's ego saying, haha, I control your belt and everything you have. Number 9, Survivor Series 2001. Oh my god, I could go on to this for hours, but I'm not going to do that. The main event itself was fucking lopsided to hell. Vince took himself out of the match to put the Big Show in the match. You compare Big Show and Vince, it's about the same, power level and shit. You know, no difference there, right? And then you have Shane and RVD, who was mostly a mid-carder for all the Invasion angle, and I think you had Booker T in there, who already lost to The Rock like fucking a million times. And then you had what, like, oh yeah, you had Stone Cold, who was a WF guy, and you had Kurt Angle, who would later betray, who would later betray the Invasion side. So that was a fail. Number 8, no ECW title. I understand that ECW was kind of just there. You know, they were the third company. They weren't supposed to be the big deal. I understand that. But you didn't even have the decency to bring back the ECW title. Really? Why couldn't Chris Jericho versus Rhino have been for the ECW title? If you didn't want Rhino to be in that position, why couldn't you have Lance Storm versus Edge at SummerSlam 2001 for the ECW title? You know, something like that. Why not bring back this belt? It's, you could say, oh, it's another belt. Blah, blah, blah. To be honest, the belts, other than the WCW title and the WWF title, didn't mean a whole lot. The United States title was tossed around. The Intercontinental title was kind of tossed around a little bit. So why not add another title just to toss around a little bit, and you could have it maybe in a triple threat unification match with the ECW, Intercontinental, and US, and just combine all three. Why the fuck not? It'd been better than just not having it at all. Number 7, ECW is a third wheel. Once again, I understand they weren't supposed to be at the level of a WCW or WWF. That's understandable. But you didn't emphasize back. These guys had extreme. You didn't have any Extreme Rules matches. You never really had RVD, or you didn't even bring in Sabu. You didn't bring in, well, you bring in Dreamer already, but they didn't emphasize him as a badass. I think Taz was already injured by this point. If I'm right, I might not be right, but if he wasn't, then they didn't emphasize the fact that he was a badass. You know, they brought in really some of the main guys in ECW, from Dreamer and RVD, and they did absolutely nothing with them. I think they had Mike Awesome too, and they did shit tits with Mike Awesome. Number 6, it ended too soon. I know you're gonna say, "Ooh, this was horrible. Why would you want it to go on longer than they had to?" If they did it right with, you know, Sting, I understand they couldn't get Sting because Sting didn't want to be there because of the whole Booker T thing. When Booker T was brought in, they said, "Who the hell are you?" He said, "I'm Booker T." You know, that was disrespectful. I understand that. It was kind of sad, to be honest, that they weren't able to get Sting. They didn't get Luger. They didn't get Savage. I know the Off the Rope show is going to hate me for this. They didn't even bring in Jeff Jarrett. He would just been another name that was, believe it or not, still a big guy in WCW, whether you like it or not. And they did absolutely nothing with him because they didn't bring him in. I mean, by this time he's probably getting ready to do some TNA. But if they would have said, "Hey, Jeff, come to the WWF. We want you part of the Invasion angle," TNA might have been delayed. TNA might not even happen for all we know. It could have, you know, that rival company that's going to shoot back down the road. It might not happen at all. So, you know, that's bad for fans, but it's good for WWF, so I don't see why they didn't do it. You know, there was no NWO. There was, you got Flair the night after Survivor Series 2001, so what the fuck was up with that? No Sabu, no shit like that. With the lack of talent, if they had all that talent, it could have went on to WrestleMania easily, maybe even a little after, till next year's Survivor Series, you know. Maybe that tag team match would have been not if this team wins, they win it all. Maybe if WCW won, they could have stuck around and they would now have official rights to SmackDown, you know, or something like that. That would have made more sense if they had the talent. You know, they're going to get Ric Flair the next night. They got NWO at No Way Out. They got Scott Steiner at Survivor Series 2002, which isn't terribly far away if they're going to go to the next year's Survivor Series. So they just, it sucks. And this, to be honest, Time Warner is to blame for it. But you could have tried and attempted to buy him out of their Time Warner contracts. I'm sure, you know, Goldberg probably had an expensive ass one, but, you know, maybe like Mr. Perfect, if he had one, it probably wasn't that expensive, and he would have been worth the talent, because overall, this is, till this day, the Invasion angle is still talked about, and it would have made some money, you know, to have believable talent. And look at the rating drops. You wonder why it's, you know, so many ratings have dropped since the Invasion angle. It's easy. Because it was taken at a joke, and so many WCW and ECW fans were disrespected, and it dropped, you know, the value of the show, and they hated it. Number 5, the Austin heel turn. When Austin went to the, what do you call it, the WCW ECW side, it was obviously Vince saying, "Oh, without our guy, without our main guy, they aren't worth shit." It's really what he was saying, and that's kind of unfortunate. Because I think, once again, if they had the actual talents like a Sting and an NWO and shit, they wouldn't need an Austin, but they pretty much said, oh, we'll give you Austin and we'll still kick your asses. And once again, it's just kind of a slap to the face of all the fans, and it's a slap to the face to, honestly, any WCW, ECW employee. I've always wondered how Austin felt about that, but that's another story for another time. Number 4, there was no Bischoff. Bischoff is another guy that came in 2002. Even though he wouldn't have wrestled, he made for that, different character, that ego character. He gave something different to the table, and they decided not to bring him until 2002. And once again, that's really sad. But what can you do, I guess? I don't know. And I know what you're going to say again. The Time Warner contract, most of them didn't expire until 2002. Yeah, I understand that. But the thing about that is, I understand why Vince wanted to capitalize immediately after WCW closed. But you could have teased it. You could have random WCW logos coming on. You could have had somebody around the ring with a WCW sign get arrested or something. You could have teased us for weeks. And then eventually it'd be delayed. Slowly. It'd be delayed. And then you could have had it. You could have had that ball. And that would have been just fine. If you would have delayed it to the point where you had time to come. Maybe you didn't start this angle till actually SummerSlam, where maybe you had The Rock and Stone Cold for the WWE title, and Booker T interferes in that match instead. You delay it, and then you got more time on your hands to make shit actually happen, you know what I'm saying? But they decided not to do that. They wanted to start it ASAP, and that's, it's kind of stupid, unfortunately, but what can you do? Number 3, no NWO. This was the pivotal point of WCW. This was the it factor of WCW's main run with the higher ratings. It's what made WCW so freaking popular. The NWO. It was their DX. That's it. It was their DX to like ×2. And when they missed out on X-Pac was already there, but he doesn't count. Scott Hall, Nash, Hogan, they didn't bring it in until they brought them all at the same time, but it's sad, with the NWO not there. I mean, maybe if they had all the other guys, Sting, Luger, Steiner, they had everyone else, and literally everyone else, then you would have had a chance, I guess. But the NWO was a must need. If you're gonna lack guys in the first place, NWO was a must need, and they didn't have it. Number 2, the thing I've been bitching about the whole time, lack of talent. You're missing the NWO, you're missing Flair, you're missing Steiner, you're missing Luger, you're missing Savage, you're missing Sting, you're missing Goldberg. Come on now, this is pathetic. I can't bitch about it enough. That's why I said they need to delay it a little bit, because without that, it was just a shame, and it just didn't work out. And of course, number 1, it just wasn't WCW. WCW was a company that could go bar none above WWE at times. Even in the later days, they had some better episodes. And if not that, they could give WWF actual competition and ratings. And it just felt like ECW without the extreme. It felt like a TNA without the talent. There was nothing there. There really wasn't. They had Booker T and DDP, and honestly, I like Canyon. I liked Mike Awesome, I liked Lance Storm, but they were mid-carders. Just face it, they were mid-carders. Booker T and DDP were the main eventers of WCW, and honestly, they bashed them. They didn't turn the Big Show over to WCW. They didn't turn Jericho over to WCW. They turned Austin, but he already bitched about ECW on DVDs how he hated his time in WCW because they mistreated him, and he fucking hated it. But, that's WWF logic for you. We'll give you a guy that hated his time in WCW, period. But that's about it from this video. If you want, you can inbox me 15 reasons requests, wrestling tragedy requests, rivalry series requests, and any of these other enjoying videos, if you will, from this channel. You can hit that subscribe button up above. You can like this video. You can comment your thoughts below. And I'm actually very happy that my camera didn't fall down in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and that's about it. We'll be continuing some more in the near future. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.